Yesterday, we had a beautiful trade setup on SUI that the Nexus and I took, and the market is pretty dead today. So, red market, green P&Ls, that's what we love to see. Today, I want to go over this Nexus trade. I want to go over how I found this SUI trade, why I was looking at it, and more importantly, I want to go over the execution because I did execute this trade very, very poorly. And I want to go over it because I want you to learn from my mistakes. Now, before we get into it, I want to explain why my execution was very poor. I've been very vocal about trying to put on larger size, okay? I've broken the threshold of a 4-digit trade now 4 times in my life, but I want more. I'm confident in my TA, but I want more. And as a result, I'm very emotional as of late. Now, I'm breaking my rule, my 1% risk per trade rule, okay? I do have the Nexus as hedge. There's full transparency regarding that. However, I want to go over the trade and I want to go over the execution primarily because I want you to learn from my mistakes and I want me to learn from my mistakes also so that the next video I can say we executed perfectly as well as had the TA on point. So before we begin, SUI. This trade, like I said, was given in advance in the Nexus. For those who do not know what the Nexus is, the Nexus is my VIP Discord where I live stream every morning. I do my levels every morning. I give my real-time calls. Okay, I don't just give levels. I don't just draw Fibonacci's and then, leave. No, I'm here every step of the way. So I want to show you. I gave a 2-minute update video yesterday. The volume and the price action has been very lackluster as of late. It's been very poor. Hasn't been great price action to deal with. However, this is the call this is the video, the update, the real-time update where I let the Nexus know that I entered. So let's listen to this real quick and then we'll get into the trade. Bad, very bad across the board. I still like lower. You guys know my opinion on the macro ranges where, like this, for example, on Cardano, we have these equal lows. So I don't know which way it's going to go. I'm not going to pretend to know. I favor the shorts because we're in the premium section. That's the only reason. However, like I said, everything has been a little bit lackluster lately. So if Bitcoin decides to roll over, then, we're not looking along this. And what we can short is SUI, at least. At least they're giving us SUI. So I'm watching it. I'm keeping my eye on it. So the way that I trade is very simple. The whole market moves in tandem. We know this, okay? Some setups or some coins give better setups than others. SUI was one that gave a beautiful setup. And the long story short of it was I've been relatively biased towards the downside because we're in the macro section of the range, right? We're in the premium section of the range rather. So we're on Bitcoin. This is your range. And for quite some time, we had some potential, legs to move up from here, from this level that we put in a couple weeks ago, whatever the low, but we started to range right away and you're in the premium section of the range. So you should be favoring shorts, okay? So anyways, let's talk about SUI and let's talk about how we entered this trade, why we entered this trade, and what my poor execution was, okay? And this is not going to be a very long video because it's not a very hard video to understand. It's not very, it's technical, but it's not very difficult to grasp, okay? So let's go over the SUI trade. By the way, these are my positions at the moment right now. So this was the SUI short that I'm referring to. This P&L should be a lot greater than it is currently, okay? And we're going to go over that, like I said. And then this morning, we did short Atom. So if you want me to go over the Atom trade, perhaps I can, we'll see how it progresses. And we'll discuss Atom tomorrow. Let me know in the comments down below if you do want me to go over Atom. The Nexus is also in the Atom short. Right over, where did I post it? Oh, it was right here from the live stream. Okay, so I have a pretty good idea as to what Atom's going to do next. But anyways, let's talk about SUI. Today we're talking about SUI. How did I enter this trade? Well, like I said very briefly in that Nexus update, we are in the premium section of the range. How do you pull your range? You're going to pull your range in a downtrend from the low to the high. So this was your tap 1 on the low. This is your tap 1 on the high. We are looking for accumulations / distributions, okay? As you can see, I have this tap highlighted, I have this tap highlighted, and I have this tap highlighted. What does that mean? That means that this is a potential Model 2 distribution because you have 3 taps. And, where can you distribute to? Well, let's be objective here. Within the confinements of our range, we haven't seen the lower parts of the range for the past, 2-3 weeks after we put in that low, and we started to range. So a lot of liquidity is being built up below you. On top of that, sentiment is starting to shift back to perma bull. Everybody thinks that the low is in. So I imagine that people are putting their stop losses here. I imagine that people are putting their stop losses here. And again, that is relative to the entire market, right? So I'm not just trading SUI per se. I know where the whole market is going to move in general. Like for the most part, I'm never 100% right, and I don't claim to be. But I have an idea as to where the market's going to move, and then I just look for the setups that give the best trades. SUI gave the trade. The other ones didn't give the trade. Let's look at Dogecoin, for example. I'm never shorting this. Right? These like ugly highs, lower high, lower high. I'm never shorting that. That's me, right? But SUI gave a very clear short. So what was the short? Well, when we have the range and we're looking for our accumulations and or distributions, and yes, it is and or because sometimes distributions may turn into accumulations, sometimes accumulations may turn into distributions or redistributions, etc. By the way, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, in the Nexus, this link up here and in the link in the description down below, enter thenexus.com. I do teach you exactly what you need to know. You're going to learn all about these distributions. You're going to learn all about these accumulations, all these range concepts. Everything you learn in this video is currently out right now in the Nexus course, which is included in your membership. So if you're interested in that, link is in the description down below. Anyway, we have your tap 1, you have your tap 2. What was your structure? Let's pull the structure from the low of the range to the high. Very objective, okay? We have low, you have high, you have low, you have high, you have low, you have high. At some point, you flipped bearish, and then you flipped right back to bullish, okay? So your structure was, or the expectation rather, was higher low to make a higher high until you had this. High, low, high, and then break. Okay? So what do we have when you get that high, low, and then break? Remember, you need to understand where your structure is relative to your range, relative to where the entire market is. This is your tap 1. This was your tap 2. Your tap 2 created an internal break of structure, which means what? Which means that this entire zone is range-based supply. This entire zone is a short zone. Okay? So we already knew, we were already identifying the liquidity above these highs. You know what's funny is yesterday, while the entire market was moving very piss poorly, okay, by the way, since Trump came in office, the price action has been garbage. Like, make price action great again. Anyway, when we were coming up to this level, I was like very clearly identifying that there was going to be extreme premium. Remember, this is your range. This yellow dotted line is your midpoint. You are in premium. When you are in the premium section of the range, you should be focusing on shorts. When you are in the discount section of the range, you should be focusing on longs. Not always going to work out, but you'll be a lot better if you think like that. So we're in the premium section of the range, and you have extreme buy-side liquidity in the premium section of the range. On top of that, you had an order block with imbalance just above those highs. So it made sense to come up to that level. Now let's talk about where I poorly executed. By the way, we were waiting for this literally all day long. And that's why I even said on the in the Nexus update right here, SUI short, divs are present on the 1 hour down, blah, blah, blah. Breaking the blue is decent. Breaking the yellow is the safest. Reconfirmation, this is what we were looking for, okay? So we were watching our structure. Breaking the yellow was the safest, getting a bounce, and then waiting for a reconfirmation. This is the part that I slipped up on. I literally gave the Nexus exactly what to look for. And they're short, by the way. They took this short. This was the only short we had, the only trade we had yesterday. I gave the Nexus this, and I fumbled because of my emotions, even though I drew out exactly what I wanted to see. So let's go over it, okay? When we were, what I drew here was exactly this. This was your structure, right? I'm gonna recreate it. We had high, we had low, we had higher high, we had lower low, we had lower high, and we had lower low. This was the yellow, okay? This is your mid time frame, right? That's your mid time frame. That's what I had drawn here. Then we were following our fractal structure. You had low, you had high, you had lower low, you had higher high SFP, so you already knew you were probably gonna come lower. And then we were waiting for the reconfirmation. This, what I just drew right now, is the exact same thing that I drew over here, but now it's in hindsight, and here it was in foresight. Okay, I guess you could say that I could see the future. Where did I enter? How did I enter? Where did I mess it up? Okay, we're going to keep this in mind, but we're going to remove it because it's kind of in the way. By the way, as I also mentioned in that post, you had nice, clear divergences on Market Cypher B. If we pull up Market Cypher B, shouts out to Market Cypher. The link for Market Cypher is in the description down below. If you are interested in purchasing, I do have an affiliate link, okay, and a discount code, 15% off. All right, so as price was going higher, your momentum and your money flow was coming lower. We very clearly identified this. But Gio, why did I drop the ball? Let's go over why I dropped the ball here. even though I was very confident. I only give the confident plays to the Nexus. Okay. So I was playing this range, okay? I was playing this range, and there are ways for you to enter. You know, I'm teaching the Nexus this right now. We're learning ranges. We're in the middle of our ranges module. But there are ways to enter that are more risky, but there are ways to enter before actually waiting for these structure flips, okay? So I initially entered from, I would say, around like here, okay? Give or take here, and then I started scaling in more, perhaps here, perhaps here. My main entry, let's just say, give or take, was like right here, okay? What happened? And remember, I want everybody to remember this. I'm going to go full screen on this, okay? Excuse my fuzziness. I'm going to Miami next week, so I'm going to be fuzzy for the next couple few days, okay? Because I got to look, you know, perfect when I go to Miami. All right. I'm struggling with putting big capital, okay? I want you to remember the context. I'm not confident in my TA. I drew out exactly what I wanted to see, and then it happened. I'm struggling with the big numbers, and I'm getting emotional. So let's go over it, okay? Let's get over it. I entered here. By the time we came down to this low, I know that you're supposed to take profit when you hit this low. I posted in the Nexus at that low to me up 2,200 and whatever, okay? This 2,200 whatever went up to like 3.3K or something when we were at these lows. I didn't take profit. I thought we were gonna just keep going down, even though I drew out what I wanted to see. Excuse me, sorry for hiccuping. I just had Dr. Pepper. Let me know if you like Dr. Pepper in the comments down below, and if you do like it, make sure to hit the like button. Okay, I drew it out. I literally drew it out, and it did exactly what I said. But I dropped the ball, and it came up higher than I would have expected it to on the pullback. So what ended up happening? I took profit when it was coming back. I think my P&L was like, so I was up like 3K. Okay, I was up 3,000. Then we dropped the 3 and we're going to add 1. So then I was up like 1,000. So I was like, fuck this. I'm not round tripping again. Okay, I'm not round tripping. So I took 500 bucks out. So I was up 500 bucks. Okay. And then I went a little bit in drawdown. When I was $250 in drawdown, I was like, screw this. I'm not round tripping. A position where I was up 3 grand only to take home 200 bucks or less than like break even or lose. So I ended up closing the position and I was up $250 only. Then I ended up getting back in, but I got mad emotional. Then I started trying to catch the knife. It wasn't a good idea. It was me being stupid. It was me being emotional. When in reality, all I had to do was zoom out, okay? Oftentimes, and if this relates to you, you know, I recommend you try this. Oftentimes when I'm in a position, I'm like low time frame. I'm on the 2 minute. I'm really zoomed in. You know, I'm trying to find order blocks with imbalance, right? I'm like, okay, this guy's been mitigated, so we don't need to come back up here. But then we did. Right? Oh, this is an order block here, you know, so I might be aggressively shorting like this wick when I see it, but then we come back up and I'm like, okay, what the heck? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's the execution part of it, and it's only because I'm putting on big capital, okay? Because I'm trying to get good at the big numbers, when in reality, all that I ever had to do was just zoom out, okay? Why do I need to zoom out? Remember, I'm very confident in my TA. I was very confident that this was going to work. It was the execution that was poor. So let me show you where I went wrong with the execution and why my recommendation is to just zoom out. I drew this in real time. Guys, this is a demand zone, okay? When we drew out the internal structure, the blue, the light blue, okay? The light blue, high, low, high, right? Light blue. When we drew it out, I was watching this demand zone. I let the Nexus know about this demand zone. Why is this demand zone important? You have high, you have low, you have higher high SFP. That higher high SFP is already telling me that we're very likely going to come back down to the low. You hit the demand, you reacted off the demand. What is your expectational order flow in a situation where this broke structure? It's another higher high. You can see that they tried to push and they tried to make a higher high. However, they failed miserably. So what does that mean? That means that this demand zone now becomes a flip zone. Okay? That means that the new supply that is created as a result of the demand failure is your short. And that coincided well with, look what happened. The flip zone, the demand failed. You broke this structure, you broke this structure, and you broke this structure. This was a very strong zone. There was no need for me to flop and grope about my higher position sizes. There was no need for it. What happens as a result of this flip zone? Well, technically speaking, the supply that was created, as I mentioned, as a result of that failed demand zone, right? The demand failure becomes your short zone. This was your supply. Now, my problem was I refined it too much. I was just focusing on like this, for example. And then I got stopped out and I'm like, oh my, like, you know what I mean? Because I'm putting the big money down. I don't want to see minus 1,000, but I'm not happy unless it's plus 10,000, but it doesn't work that way. So the trade was there. The TA was there. I'm very confident with my TA, very confident with my craft. I have no complaints about it. I can't say that I didn't see it coming. I can't say that the proof is there. The timestamps are here. The Nexus knew. The Nexus we were in these trades. But the round trip got me mad emotional, and I'll tell you why. There are times when the plan fails, and when the plan fails, it's because they have reason to go for something else, and they did have reason to come a little bit higher. They had supply zones just above that we front ran, okay? Now, we don't have to come to them, but it's possible that we do come to them. So this is where you got to be very, what's the word? You got to be able to adapt to what's happening. You know, I don't just trade and I don't just do this. Like, I'm not the trader that just does this. You know, huge 2% stop loss and then aim down. Like, that's easy. Anybody can do that. I want big money. I want high risk reward, high probability trades. Okay. So that was the situation really with SUI. You know, it was just poor execution when just to circle back, if I just zoomed out, you know, trusted the craft, saw the supply to demand flip, or sorry, the demand to supply flip. I always get that wrong, right? Like if I just zoomed out and draw out what we just had, right? That was the demand. And then this entire zone was the supply. You could have just started limiting in. You didn't even need to cover the high. I wasn't even covering the high on my stop loss. There was no point in even covering the high. Why? Why did you not need to cover the high? Because after you had the high in the break of structure, this mitigated the last supply that there was right here. That was mitigated. There was no reason to cover more than this high, because if they came for this high, they would have came for this, because they would have come for either A or B. So there was no need to cover more than just this. Now, had I just, you know, taken a chill pill, zoomed out, taken a deep breath, even though I had put in the big money down, man, this trade right now would have probably been up, give or take. Let's see. I don't know how much it would have been up right now. I probably would have netted, give or take, I'm going to say maybe 15K. I would have been up right now, as opposed to me only being up 2.7, 2.8K. Okay. I would have probably been up around 15 right now. I probably would have taken maybe half out, maybe 8 would have came home. And then I would have been looking to hold the rest down to the range lows, because at the end of the day, we are still in the premium section of the range. So I am looking to compound this short. If I can get another short trade, hopefully we can come up to like 2.3 maybe. I will be looking for something like this. You know, I will update the Nexus. They know that I'm looking for something like that. We're watching it. They could also come back up to the high and do this. That is also a possibility. We're watching it. But that is my trade, guys. That's the trade recap. It was not a very hard trade, honestly. It was just poor execution. And I will get better with the execution. And the only reason it's poor execution is because I'm pushing myself a little bit beyond my comfort zone. You know, I always preach to risk 1% of your capital. But for me, I don't keep a lot of money on the exchanges, and like, let's call a spade, you know, the Nexus, I get paid from the Nexus. So I have the Nexus as hedge. So I'm allowed to go a little bit harder. You know what I mean? And I'm fighting with these emotions, but one day I will make a video, and I don't know what the video is going to be called, but I will have it down and I will tell you guys, and I'm very excited to share that with you guys. So if you like this content, like this kind of content, I love doing trade recaps, by the way. They're so much fun. It's so fun when you know how the market moves, you know? That's what I teach you guys every day. It's so much fun to be able to actually explain everything, as opposed to just getting lucky and then end up giving it right back, right? So if you like this kind of content, let me know in the comments down below. And if you want to see, or if you want to join the Nexus, of course, make sure you click the link in the description down below. Enter thenexus.com. You can learn everything that we went over in this video, and you get my real-time updates. And yeah, if you want to see another trade recap video, click there if I'm not too lazy and I remember to do it. But aside from that, my friends, trade safe, be good, be happy, be healthy. Happy Tuesday, and I will see you guys in the next video.